Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Business with a servant's heart. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk on life. Our guest will share his life story. We want you to success in life. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk on life. We're gonna talk on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are gonna witness. Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Business with a servant's heart. Listen to the podcast.
That look isn't a lesson. That look to me is a human being waking up. You know, and here's the part that ties this podcast we're having, to the biggest story on the planet. Everyone is panicking that AI is finally learning to render, to simulate, and plan all at once. But there's a secret. In a real education, those three were never separate. My grandfather taught me that. AI isn't coming for education. AI is just finally catching up to what education was always supposed to be.
I want to invite you into the Business Network, my free school community for entrepreneurs and business owners who want to grow their network and scale their business. Inside, you'll get step-by-step lessons, monthly workshops, feedback, scripts, resources, bonuses, and a community of like-minded people who believe in helping each other win. Join us today at school.com, the Business Network, or click the link in the description and click Join Group. I'll see you inside.
Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart and educate you with a servant's heart. We're going to talk about education. I've got an extremely special guest. I know I can call him a friend now. We've met 3 or 4 times over the last few weeks, and I'm so blessed, and you're going to be blessed to have him on my podcast. But before we start, let's do our gratitude for today. You are amazing. Your dreams deserve to come true. And speaking of dreams, wow, what a great card to pull out for my guest. My guest is the grandson of the famous and wonderful Nelson Mandela. At 11 years old, when he started interacting with Nelson Mandela and learned how gratitude and peace and connecting is so important. And I'm going to stop there because I can't do it justice like he can. Let's bring him on. Freedom, welcome to the show, my friend.
Well, thank you for having me, Steve, and thank you for being the human connector. You absolutely remind me of who my grandfather was. I believe in my heart of hearts that, like you, he was the human connector.
That's a compliment. God bless you for saying that. I'd like to ask you, what is the biggest impact your grandfather, Nelson Mandela, had with you?
The Long Walk, Freedom. He wrote a book called The Long Walk, Freedom. And my name, being Freedom, I didn't choose that name. I did inherit it. And he taught me that education itself was the access to everything. He taught me that with our brains, we are able to be an extension of being God. We are able to build a world that is more peaceful, a world that is more loving, a world that is more compassionate. He taught me the first alphabet, the alphabet of the heart.
Okay, what's that? That's interesting.
The alphabet of the heart. These are letters to live by. Compassion, dignity, equanimity. So it's D, E, F, and G, gratitude. That's why I love your gratitude part. And then humility, being a humble human being, and integrity, that your word creates. If I say something, it must move something. So integrity is my word. Integrity is my way of being. Integrity is me being a leader and exercising leadership as my self-expression. And then justice. You spent 27 years in a prison cell for the sake of justice. And then kindness. What if we have a world that is kind? So that is the alphabet of the heart.
Wow.
And then love.
Wow. Wow. Hope you're writing that down, audience. I have got it in my head. We just do a little bit of that, the world's going to change. We do a lot. It's going to change even more. You told me something that was very interesting before we launched the show. You said your grandfather was not angry when he got out of prison. Remember, he spent 27 years, audience. Not 5 years, not 5 months, 27 years of his life. Why was he not angry?
Because anger, he taught me that anger actually impacts me as a human being. That when I hold anger inside myself, then I project that. And that is why he was an advocate for the truth and reconciliation. It was about changing the mindset and the mind frame in terms of like, let's create a movement. So I believe the House of Mandela is a movement. And it's a movement that removes anger out of the equation. With anger, we cannot build cities of the future. We cannot be humans of the future. So anger is out. And if you think about it, as a neuroscientist today, I understand what it meant by that. Now we do have research that shows that if I'm a compassionate human being and an empathetic human being and a kind human being, there is a neurological basis of it. It changes my neuroanatomy. It actually restructures how my brain is structured physically. It actually has an impact on our collective consciousness. I think of him, I remember in 2013, I got a call. I was in the lab that Tata, we call him Tata, that it was time to come home. And I went there. It was December 2nd, and I saw him for the last 3 days. And when he died on December 5th, it was one of those profound moments that the torch has now been passed to all of us, all the grandkids. Like, what are we going to do with that legacy? And I remember the love that we got from the world. I remember having Barack Obama, he came over, he did the eulogy. I remember meeting all these world leaders. In that moment, I realized that he was not an ordinary man. For me, Tata was just grandpa. He was an ordinary man who did extraordinary things and caused the entire world, to come and pay their respects.
Can't find better accolades than that. Freedom, how are you going to continue his legacy? I could tell listening to you, meeting you 3 weeks ago, I think that's your passion and purpose. What's that look like, continuing his legacy?
You know, I feel like now, like my grandfather, everybody does quote him, that with that famous line, education is the most powerful weapon, you can use to change the world. But they always stop halfway because a weapon is only as free as the hand that holds it. We handed our children the most powerful weapon on earth, and then we tied them. We tied their hands to a desk. I know this is my body, not my theory. I am a child of two worlds, born in the motherland of Africa, where Tata was, and now being in the frontier of Silicon Valley. And in the village of Puno, where he lays right now, I learned the thing the whole hour is built on. There was never a wall between learning and living. The whole village was the school. The whole day was the lesson. Then the modern world took that living thing and locked it in a box. On his last will, he wants to have the homestead be like a learning ecosystem, and I'm working on that. It's called the Puno project. So I am responsible, at least from a family angle, to have that happen. And that's why I am creating this $8 billion fund in his honor, so that every human being on the planet is represented. This fund is a fund for humankind, to fund our earth, the education, the smart cities, the technology, and everything that is important in being a human being. And I appreciate you, Steve, for being such a great friend and having supported me to really begin to put all of that together. It will take all of us. The 8 billion fund is just a representation for every human being on the planet. And that is how I wish to honor him. And thank you for that question.
It's beautiful. It's the connection there of the 8 billion people, the $8 billion, which I call abundance. The more abundance you have, the more impact that you're making. And I'm proud to be a supporter. That leads us to your incredible project, the VR School. Tell us about that and what you're doing with education, because you're changing the world of education.
I looked, I looked at it from the perspective of how my grandfather taught me to think. Most of us declare a major in school. Okay, I'm a science major, I'm a biology major. But we have it reversed. What if we stopped declaring a major and we declared a mission with a major impact? When your mission is declared, then the mission drives the major. And that was the idea behind the VR school at Stanford University, which is where it's located. I worked with Stanford President John Hennessy. In 2017, there was a movement to create a purposeful university, and 30,000 of us came together to reimagine what Stanford will look like beyond Palm Drive. And I was like, this institution that I am a part of was born out of sorrow. And I said, John, I don't see teenagers, 15-year-olds running around campus. I want to design an institution on this campus where young people are able to talk to Nobel laureates and have access to equipment that is worth millions of dollars to reimagine the world. And John was like, I'm going to take this to the board of trustees. And we had a meeting at the business school. And I put this proposition. It was packed with faculty, with students. And my first sentence was, we all know that this institution, it's Stanford Leland Junior University. It was named after a 15-year-old, Leland Jr., who died from polio. His mother was grieving and wanted something to remember this 15-year-old who was artistic, who was different. He thought differently. And so many people don't know that the charter of the university is fundamentally about a 15-year-old and a grieving mother.
I've been to Stanford many times for football games, basketball, just going out there. I did not know that story. That is absolutely amazing.
Yes. And the VR school brings back the spirit of Leland Jr., the 15-year-old the institution is named after.
Curiosity, wonderment of a 15-year-old brain. Wow.
Yes. And our students get to create an education that works for them. It's personalized, it's accessible, it's always yes, and how are you going to do that? They have the capacity to meet up with anybody that they choose to on their moonshot. We call it a moonshot, when you can think of an idea that seems so implausible, but you are going to do it anyhow.
Wow. So
And
what I'm hearing, sorry to interrupt, you got my mind. This is just wonderful. So if passion and mission was whales, I'd go into biology, but that's my mission and purpose. So my major would be biology so I can help, or whatever whales or whatever that major is, right?
Steve, you just described it.
Okay.
The VR school is exactly that way. What's a verb? I am studying, think of my student Marco Tropper. He was in 7th grade. He comes to me and says, Dr. Free, I really, really want to figure out how to cure cancer. And I said, Marco, how are you going to do that? He said, well, I will study mathematics. so that I can understand the mathematics of cancer itself. And I'm going to use artificial intelligence and nanotechnology. And I am calling my invention nanotro because his name was Marco Tropper. And since then, Marco worked on this project for a whole 6 years. 6 years later, we had the AI boom, the .ai boom. But this sixth grader had been doing it for a long, long time. And Marco chose to go to UC Berkeley. His first semester, he was working, he chose his major. He continued the work he did start at the VR school. And for your own information, Marco is actually the son of Susan Wojcicki, the first CEO of YouTube. And I would work with Susan like, hey, I think let's have Marco follow his path. He wants to continue working on this. And Susan was like, oh, yeah, just continue working with him. February 13, 2024. It's in the pandemic. So Marco and I would talk every morning on Thursdays. And I was like, how are you doing? And have a fun Valentine. If you want, come back on campus. I get a call around 4 p.m. from Susan. And she's like, Freedom, I thought you should be the first to know. We are at UC Berkeley. And Marco was found unconscious at his dorm. Marco had died.
Oh no.
He died of multi-drug toxicity. But what amazed me was the only thing that defined Marco was his mission. And when we began to see all these media articles everywhere, the first thing they talked about was Marco's mission. And imagine if I told Marco, no, you have to wait until college. I didn't do that. I did not do that. And tragically, 6 months later, his mother, Susan, died
Oh.
of small cell lung cancer, never smoked before. She built YouTube, one of the most powerful companies in the world. She made an impact. And I know that she wanted to be with Marco. And so to think about Marco's focus and how his mother ultimately died, that did end up creating, the Susan Wojcicki Foundation to look at this rare cancer. And there's no way, nobody knows how to screen for it. So from a sixth grader, I know that nanotro will continue. Because we test children by asking them to play the world back to us in perfect fidelity. We crown the best mirror, our best student, but you cannot teach a child to swim by showing them a picture of an ocean in high resolution. Get them in the field. Let them figure it out. I have some videos of young Marco. They didn't even know what a nano was. And he became this amazing mathematician. And I feel like Marco did teach me a lot of things. Education starts from the moment we are born, and we must nurture that. Initially, the idea of a VR school was would use a VR headsets because that was Benji's idea. Like, what if school would come to you? That would be so cool. So the VR school itself was actually built by students. They collaborate and they work on each other's projects. And Benji was Marco's cousin. He wanted to have, what if you could just talk? And a 3D world is just randomly generated. This was an 8-year-old. And today, everyone is talking about it.
They are.
So I understood that, a student who can simulate, a failing ecosystem has understood it. Understanding was never something you recite. It's something that you can run. It's something you can run. So normally we have kids learn through things that are rendered. A picture is a render is rendered. So a renderer shows you the world. But we need the simulators. Immerse the students in that world. Because if you have a simulation, it lets you break it and rebuild it. And with the VR school, when you're using that model, the lowest level of learning, you render. We call them renderers. And then simulators build it. Show me what a city on Mars will look like. We will go on our headset, we're meeting on Mars. Let's build a city on Mars. Now, the last part is the planner. The planner is like an agent. The student now commissions different agents to go and do things, kind of like all these AI agents we're seeing nowadays. So with the VR school, we have changed totally the way that we learn. We've changed the future of work. Render it very, very quickly, simulate it, and then plan it and execute it out there in the world. And that loop isn't a lesson. That loop to me is a human being waking up. And here's the part that ties this podcast we're having, to the biggest story on the planet. Everyone is panicking that AI is finally learning to render, to simulate, and plan all at once. But there's a secret. In a real education, those three were never separate. My grandfather taught me that. AI isn't coming for education. AI is just finally catching up to what education was always supposed to be. I can build an agent that does this or that, and I have them work together. At the VR school, we already had a simulation of the School of AI within the VR school where students learned with agents. We had a robot called Jibo for a whole year, learning people's kids' names and solving problems. So for us, it's not new, but for the world, it is new.
Yeah, and that's where the rub is with people, which they'll
Yes.
learn that. What a great way to talk about AI. Audience, we're going to bring him back if he's willing. There's so much more to bring. 25, 26 minutes is never enough time. But I want you to leave us with one piece of advice you give the audience that wants to be the impactor, the change maker, like Nelson Mandela, your grandfather. What's their first step?
I would say that the first and most important thing, realize that you are a miracle and that you are here for a specific purpose and mission. And your mission really, really matters. And whatever it is you have, you are the movement. The House of Mandela is a movement. You are a movement.
Yeah.
So what are you doing to build your movement? And that movement must be based on your mission, that nothing is going to stop you. So what I leave you with today is choose your mission, and nothing will ever scare you. Even if it means spending 27 years in a prison cell, you will always find a way to make it work.
And the great thing, Freedom, we don't have to spend 27 years in prison. Your grandfather did that for us to lead us the way. Let's take his legacy and just move it forward every day. It's beautiful. I know the audience wants to reach out. Where can they find the VR school, and how can they connect with you?
Absolutely. So if you go to the vrschool.org, there is a little, my agent, her name is Sophie, knows everything and anything about me. Talk to Sophie. Ask them questions about the House of Mandela. Ask them about what the future looks like. It's so smart and it's so compassionate and so empathetic. So my students, have changed the name of the school from just virtual reality. They say this is a variable reality school because we are so variable and so unique in the way that we are, and even in our missions. So declare your mission with a major impact. And once you have purpose, nothing can stop you.
And Nelson Mandela proved that to us, and many other people, not just him. I want to run through a brick wall right now because you got me all fired up, Freedom. Thank you again. I know you're busy, and I truly call you a friend. I really appreciate you, and we'll bring you back. Let's impact more people and get more people involved with the VR school and things like that. And audience, do me a favor, and you're talking to somebody that wants that is spinning in the world. They don't know their mission, their purpose. Have them listen to this because Freedom just gave us the playbook to be able to start doing that and make a beautiful impact in the world. So with that being said, me and Freedom want to thank all of you for watching or listening to this podcast, and we'll definitely see you all in the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you, Steph.